Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back.
What's up?
How's it going?
Me?
Everyone. You.
Me? Well, it's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But, we're here. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
This right here, doing this is making me actually really happy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. Yes.
And we got some other stuff to do today. It's going to make me really happy, so that's good.
Agreed. We've got a lot of things to do today.
Oh, my gosh. Did we not even say who we are?
Hello, everyone. We are your purple friends.
I'm your co-host, Co.
And I'm your other co-host, Joe,
And this is a mental health podcast.
where we talk about mental health related things.
Yes. And we're just shaking the rust off.
Yeah, because it's been a grip, as we
Yes.
have said.
Sorry that this episode is a week late. Life happens.
Life happens.
So it's a part of being a married couple podcasting host. It's like when something affects us, it's like it kind of takes both of us out.
Yep.
So, we're back with you. Sorry for the delay.
But y'all understand, right? You guys are very
Yeah.
understanding people, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming back.
Yes,
This week.
thank you for being here. Shall we get into some gratefuls? Some
Yeah, the little
gratitudes?
ones. What's your little... Oh, okay, good.
You're peeking.
I did cheat. Because, I feel like we usually run the risk of having the same little grateful.
Yes. I often go out of my way to not, because I know that there's like a big one that we could both pick right now.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, I also think of that, but then I'm like...
Well, you can't have nobody say it.
Exactly. So I'm like, I'm going to say it.
Can you imagine, like, if you were like kites or something, and I was like, deviled eggs or some crazy thing, and then at the end we were like, we didn't say anything about this thing that we're both super
I know.
grateful for.
That'd be wild. Because it's been all I can think about.
What is it?
Oh, we're starting with me then.
Please.
So
or should I? Because mine is so small. I don't want to follow you, actually. Let me go first.
Okay, you go first.
I'm grateful for pumpkin seeds.
Is that? Oh my God! I read it upside down and I thought it said Pokemon, and then I didn't read the second word.
No, I'm so
Pumpkin
sorry
seeds.
to disappoint you. No, this is not Pokemon seeds. This is pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, you've bought your second bag.
Yes, I bought my second bag. The thing about pumpkin seeds, they're a good source of protein. They're a good source of fiber. And as long as you check that nutrition label on the back and don't get one that's like so full of salt, they're like a really, really good for you snack. And I'm just loving them.
And they love to get in between your teeth.
I don't have that problem, actually.
Oh.
They kind of like do this other thing that I can't really describe, where like my teeth cannot break them down as far as like other foods that I normally chew. I don't know how to describe it. Just
They resist.
They're seeds. They're supposed to, I guess. That's part of their design. Anyway.
My little grateful, or shall I say our little grateful, the one that we definitely were going to share, is... I don't even want to say it. Fortnite. I feel like such a teenage boy.
That's okay.
We've been playing Fortnite a lot.
Yes, a ton.
And it's been very, very fun.
Very good for dissociating. Very good for taking 100% of our attention while our kid's asleep. Just like no doom scrolling, no dreading
You know what?
stuff.
Absolutely. We will put Amari to bed, and then we'll play for like 5 hours, and then it's like 1 a.m. and we're like, we should probably go to bed.
We're staying up later than we have like since
Ever.
we first met.
For me, ever. I've never stayed up late. Like, I love my sleep, and so it's very rare the occasion that something keeps me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been happily staying up till like 1, 2 a.m.
Yep. We're playing duos. It's a lot of fun. We're playing zero build duos. And that's what we're doing.
And that's that.
Yeah. It's really fun.
It is very fun. I love shooting people.
I really like working together as a team.
Together as a team.
As
our
our
daughter
daughter
loves
says.
to say that.
So yeah.
Anyway.
Fortnite. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Don't care about the whole South Park tie-in, but
No.
everything else is so fun.
Yeah. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
And I really like the feeling of getting better.
Oh my gosh, it is so noticeable. And also like so many times, like I'm thinking back to all the different times that we have looked at each other and just like given each other that really energized
Like
high
high
five,
five.
kind of like Predator, like from the movie Predator, the two arms clasping
Yeah.
together. Yeah, every time. And that's happened several times, which only happens when we win, which is crazy because you never played before.
Yeah. The first time we played,
very
we
first match.
freaking won.
Yeah, I got a capture of it on our PlayStation that we had a 100% win ratio for a hot second.
Yeah. It was my first time ever playing, and somehow we did it. We won. It's for anyone who doesn't know, Fortnite is
Yeah.
like the Hunger Games.
It is, yeah.
It's like last man standing, and you find guns.
The
and
play field is constantly shrinking,
Yeah.
always on the move until
Yeah.
there's fewer and fewer people.
And so when you win, it feels really good because you're like Katniss Everdeen.
Yes, oh my gosh, yeah.
And
it's
you're
so
Peter
tense,
Millark.
and there's like, oh, I don't want to be PETA.
He's not bad. What are you talking about?
Can't I be Finnick?
He dies.
Yeah, but he's...
He is way. I mean, he's way
Come on.
better.
Okay, Hunger Games opinions aside.
Does that mean I have to be? No, f- it.
You could be...
I'm Katniss.
yeah, oh, what's that old lady's name? You
The
said
one
Aunt something?
Annie is
Oh,
Finnick's wife.
Annie. His wife. No, that's not who I was talking about. I was thinking of a different person. I was thinking...
What's her name? Marge? Meg?
Madge. You think my name is Pudge?
You know the old lady.
Yes, that's
Finnick's
what I
old
was
lady?
talking about.
Yeah.
Finnick's old lady.
No,
That's literally, and you're like, his wife? I'm like, no.
I was talking about his wife. I don't know who the old lady.
I think her name is Pudge. Anyway, today we're talking about something that's been on our mind since we started this show a year ago.
Has it been a year?
It's been, we actually recorded our first episode in December of 2024. So it's been a little over a year, yeah.
Wild. Well, thanks for riding with us, guys.
The topic we're talking about today is the first-gen experience, specifically the first-gen immigrant experience. There's lots of different first-gen experiences. There's like first-gen person who goes to college. Like that's a whole thing that we could talk about. But today we're going to be focusing on the first-gen immigrant experience.
Yeah, just because I'm first gen. Hi.
Hi.
And honestly, it's a big part of my clientele. Like a lot of my clients are first gen. And so we just find it very important to talk about.
Totally.
But yeah, thank you for defining first gen experience.
Oh, wait. I don't think I actually...
Oh.
Did we define it?
Well, you did say like... Okay, well, define it. Define
yeah.
it. Define it nice and clear.
Yeah, it's being the first in your family to be born in a new country. So I think there's probably a little bit of confusion if you don't know, like people aren't sure if it's like the person who immigrates or the person or their child, you know, and we're talking about their kid who was born here, their parent who was born somebody else. Somewhere else, excuse me. I mean, I mentioned a little earlier, it can also be like you're the first in your family to attend college or like to be in like a different socioeconomic class. But basically this involves acculturative stress, which is this psychological impact of adapting to a new culture while managing the expectations of your heritage culture.
Yeah. And honestly, like the challenge is trying to find a balance between both worlds in a culture and in a society that wants you to kind of be all or nothing. You know, there's often a lot of discussion around that exactly, you know, finding the balance. What does that look like? And oh gosh, yeah, there's just so much with that, like code shifting and
Yes.
yeah, like trying to and identity, cultural identity formation, which we have talked about. Like, I think that as we were preparing for this episode, I was thinking there's a lot of the other things that we have talked about, like boundaries and like cultural identity, and that I feel like really apply to the first gen experience.
Totally. Can we go back really quick to can we define code switching?
Yeah, so code switching essentially is like you switch certain like characteristics, mannerisms, speech, language, to match
Your audience.
your audience, your environment. So I like when I feel that when I'm with my family,
Sure.
you know, I speak Spanish. There's a certain cadence or, you know, way of chatting or certain things, music that I prefer, even, like, where like if I'm with clients, it's very different, So we all, I think, to some degree, have experienced some level of code switching, but it can start to feel harder to bridge those gaps when they become more and more extreme, or, just harder to switch
Yeah,
sometimes.
it takes energy to switch.
Absolutely.
Having to go back and forth is exhausting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yes, that is part of it, right? Like I said, finding a balance is also being okay with how often you have to switch, or, if you even want to switch.
Right. Yeah. That's also a really important thing to consider too. Can we go over some common misconceptions?
Yeah. So I feel like with the first gen experience, at least what we've heard, is like this idea of feeling ungrateful, right? Especially if like we are setting boundaries or doing things differently from like our parents who, made the sacrifices and came to this country, and, we step outside of their expectations. I think a lot of times people's experience is that they're called ungrateful. And I think that oftentimes this is a sign of enmeshment trauma, which essentially is, just how family dynamics, especially family dynamics with blurred boundaries, really confuse and impact our sense of self and identity and ability, I think, to set boundaries.
Yeah.
So when I think boundaries is a really good one, because maybe y'all have heard me say that like the word boundaries doesn't even really exist in Spanish, because the culture and everything around it, not necessarily that it disagrees with the concept of boundaries, but like it's just a different worldview. I think I'm going to speak about my culture because that's what I know. It's very collectivist. My family used to have this saying that like my problems are my family's problems and my family's problems are my problems. And they're like, that alone is enmeshment, And so like, there is like you are essentially rewiring parts of your brain if you're choosing to make space for some of those things from like, I think, majority culture, right? I think boundaries and mental health and, putting yourself first traditionally stems from like more westernized majority American white culture. And so like finding that balance can be really tricky, because then, you're called ungrateful from your family, and then, it feels really, really unfortunate when you feel like you can't please anybody. And I think that's another common experience.
Yeah, totally. Another misconception is that there's this idea that like achieving the quote unquote American dream, whatever that means these days, like a high paying job, a degree, whatever, that automatically heals generational trauma or identity confusion that comes with the journey. And it's just not the case.
No, I feel like it would probably even complicate it more.
Yeah, because it kind of forces you to face the fact that there is still something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There is still something, plus a whole new world, right? If you are first gen, and like, for example, if that is something that you've experienced, the first in your family to experience like wealth or success in that way, that's a whole realm that like is unknown and completely unfamiliar because you're the first of your family to do it. So yeah, I mean, it can just complicate those dynamics even more if you feel like you can't lean on them for support, or, again, even identifying for yourself what this means, or even finding the disappointment of still feeling, that generational trauma, regardless of having, quote unquote, succeeded.
What's funny is while you were saying that, I just had this idea of like that situation that you were describing. The parents in that situation have established firm boundaries. It feels like they want whatever XXX for their kids, not XXX for their kids. Hold on. They want whatever for their kids. Well, I guess those aren't really boundaries. Those are expectations of other people, just really high expectations.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And I think that's like what it like complicates it, right?
Yeah.
Is that they do have these high expectations. They think that like, okay, and I am generalizing, but they think that like coming to this country, giving us this opportunity at a new life means that you have to live it in a certain way. And I think that pressure, coupled by the pressure of just navigating a new world, is so exhausting and tricky to navigate, and so many people I don't think really talk about those nuanced things. And to be fair too, like I think it's also very regionally based. Like here in Chicagoland area, like it might feel like a certain pressure, but there are certain communities or whatever that like might relieve some of that pressure, where like I imagine being first gen in the South, for example, or, I don't know, Seattle, I don't know, like regionally, I'm sure, I'm sure that there are different experiences, just based on like, those factors as well. So it's not a one size fits all by any means. And it is a lot of work to kind of figure that out, which we've talked about in that cultural identity development model episode.
Shall we move on to intersectionality? So, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, like being the first person in a new socioeconomic status, first-gen individuals can often become the family bank or even like a language broker, adding like this additional labor, cognitive labor, financial labor on them.
So common.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many like memes and like just, I don't know, discourse around like having to read legal documents for your parents or like having to enroll yourself into school or be the translators at like doctor's appointments or parent teacher conferences. And like, again, that's a whole lot of pressure. And like, usually it's children being put into these situations. And it's like, how, but yeah, I do remember definitely disappointing my parents and them being like, do you not know how to read English? Because like, I don't understand what they're saying. I could read it, but I don't know the meaning of these words. Another thing that I think is important to talk about is colorism and racism. And there is a slight difference here. Colorism is essentially more focused on literally just the color of someone's skin. So there is more prejudice and discrimination to someone who is darker skinned and more, less biases against someone who is lighter skinned. Certain privileges awarded to someone who is lighter skinned. So amongst any culture, there is a variety of skin tones, right? And so this is like the more nuanced, like, prejudice against colorism. And so I feel like that is something that we often face like a double burden of navigating our family's cultural expectations while also simultaneously trying to navigate a systemic racism in the institutions that we're trying to figure out, like school or corporate America. And like, I don't know. I feel like racism is or especially colorism is rampant, I feel, in a lot of other cultures, where there is this kind of favoritism towards lighter skinned individuals. And I don't know if this is exactly on point with what we're trying to convey here, but like, I think even just trying to navigate that and like educate myself and learn about racism here in America and like what that looks like versus like understanding that like when I'm in Honduras, for example, or with my family, there's a whole other set of rules around colorism, that is almost normalized, and is distinct from like from experience here in America. So it's just like interesting to have to, again, know how to
just navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sounds really hard.
Like, I feel like it's been so normalized in a lot of cultures. Like, there are even nicknames in Latino culture to like.
That's the thing I was thinking of like, I didn't want to like put the Spanish language on blast.
But that's what I'm saying is like you kind of have to navigate and know those terms and understand that in context, or like, I don't know. Again, like when I talk to certain family members who still live in Honduras, for example, like putting myself in their shoes and recognizing that that's still something that motivates their decisions. And yeah, it's like, yeah, I do have to shift. It's different from the conversations I've learned to have here with people who I think display racism, you know, it's just a different conversation. Because it comes from a different lens.
Right.
So I think that's like, again, uniquely complex.
Agreed. An additional point of intersection that I wanted to bring up is this idea of gender roles. Like, for example, the first-gen daughter is often expected to maintain a traditional, like, domestic labor kind of situation while also succeeding professionally, leading to like this really unique, like double superwoman kind of burnout.
Yeah, we do see that quite often.
I don't want to name any names, but like we see that in our family.
Yeah, in our family, in our lives, like my clients, I think experience that a lot. I think that there's this, not just even so much in like domestic labor either, but like, yeah, like a lot of the times first-gen daughters are also parentified, meaning like they have to watch over younger siblings and grow up faster than they need to.
Yep.
And those are parts of us that I feel like are hard to redefine in adulthood, you know? And so I see a lot of first-gen Latinas who are often eldest daughters or just only daughters in families, which is another dynamic that can be tricky, that are just trying to unlearn and define for themselves what it means to be a woman, what it means to be, you know, a member of their family, versus like all of the other pressures that exist and expectations that exist from both, again, their heritage culture, their heritage culture and their like American culture that they're trying to also navigate.
Right. And I think that that's such a good transition because one of our first applicable techniques is like defining the difference between those two ideas, those two values, those two sets of values, I should say, and like delineating which is part of which set of values, your own values. I'm explaining this poorly. We're talking about the difference between like your inherited values versus like, you called them your American values. I would call them like, I don't know, they're chosen values. That's like, I think what we're trying to get across is like this second set of values is like what this person is doing separate from their inherited values. Like the stuff that they choose to do with this first gen experience, those values versus their inherited values. Okay, so those two separate ideas of values. The idea here with this first technique, it's called values clarification. And what you do is you take these, literally you're gonna write this down. Write down things that you hold dear to you, these ideas, these values that you hold, and try to define if that is something that you inherited from, you know, your parents, their culture, or if it's something that you are trying to inject into your own culture of your chosen values.
Right.
And just knowing the difference and being able to separate those two can really help your decision making, can really help you navigate like relationships and expectations of you, stuff like that.
I think it can also give you a sense of confidence in your own decision making and in your own inner voice, right? You're saying, okay, I want to do this because I want to do this. Yes, maybe I did inherit it from my family, but I'm also choosing it for myself.
Right. Like, yes, maybe this would also make my parents happy, but like I'm choosing to do this because I want to do this.
Correct.
Right.
And that is something that I talk a lot about with my clients is exactly that, right? Is like, at the end of the day, they're the boss. They get to decide what they bring into their life. So if they don't want to, they can also not include it in their life.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I do think that's a very helpful exercise. You know, I think sometimes just clearly sitting down and writing that down can really help clear up your mind with it.
Making a list. I love to make a list. Put it in a journal.
Yep.
You made a journal entry.
Exactly.
And then you have it forever.
And you can look back on it and reflect and think,
see how it's changed.
Do I still feel this? Yes, exactly. Has it changed?
A year later, do I still think that maybe this actually was an inherited value after all? Or maybe this inherited thing, maybe this is my chosen thing after all.
Right.
It's cool to have something to look back on.
Yeah.
That's why journaling is so cool.
It is. But yeah, I can think of a lot of different things that I feel like at first were just like part of my inherited culture, and then I've chosen it for myself.
Yeah.
And that feels a lot more, I feel a lot more at peace with those things.
Yeah. Like, man, so secure to also choose your inherited culture also.
Yeah.
That's like the double whammy.
And like I said, you are the boss. You get to decide when, where, how, and how much.
Yeah, how much. Yeah, exactly.
Another, I think, useful technique that I feel like kind of goes hand in hand with the one that we just talked about is like the both and rule, right? Like this idea that like two things can be true at once.
Yes.
So like I am grateful for my parents' sacrifices and I'm allowed to have boundaries with them. So I feel like recently I've been really using this skill just in general of like holding space for both.
Yeah.
You know, our parents can be disappointed that we got a tattoo, but I might be very excited about it, you know, and I'm very happy about it. I don't have a tattoo, by the way, because it disappoints my parents. And that is something I have now, I guess, chosen. I might reevaluate later.
Yeah, who knows? You still have a 40th birthday in almost a decade.
Yeah, there's still time. But that's an example.
Another technique, and we've talked about this in prior episodes, but this idea of narrative reframing is like shifting your internal story of like this idea of like you're a pioneer of like who must carry forward the family, changing from that to like I'm building a bridge for myself.
Yeah.
Between two cultures.
Truly, how we talk about things changes how we think about things, and therefore how we feel about things.
Yeah.
So like another, I think, good example was like recently I had a client, you know, where it's like they're having a child and it's like, oh, do you want a boy or a girl? And it's like, I don't care. Right. And so like that conveys a certain thought, a certain message, a certain feeling. And so simply reframing it from I don't care what it is to I'm open to either.
Right.
Really helps shift how you feel about it.
Yeah, I'd be excited for either.
Yeah, I'm like
the opposite of I don't care.
And honestly, like I feel like a lot of the times the feeling is still the same. Like the core feeling, like for my client, I know that the feeling deep down was still the same, but how we choose to communicate it can really derail how we continue to process it, but then also how other people can interpret that message. So yeah, sometimes it's just about simply finding the right words.
Yeah, and it can help you go from like maybe being like kind of iffy about something or maybe even ashamed of something to like kind of being proud of it and owning it. One obstacle that we want to talk about is like a lack of mentorship. So if you're first gen and maybe if you're also a person of color, you may not see yourself reflected in leadership and, you know, leadership at your job, leadership in your community, leadership wherever. This makes it like a really good breeding ground for imposter syndrome, which we've talked about at length on another episode.
Yeah. And not only seeing yourself represented in leadership, but like even seeing yourself represented in different services, you know, like at least for me, because I'm a therapist of color, I do get a lot of clients specifically looking for a therapist of color. And often talk about the struggles of finding other therapists of color, you know, or doctors of color, or, you know, just someone that, or even like for me, I feel like I struggle to find and hold a female dentist, you know, like, you know, so there is this lack of representation just in general that really does, I think, lead to imposter syndrome, because it really starts to like communicate to you internally, like, oh, I guess I'm not meant for these spaces, you know? And if you find yourself in those spaces, you really start to question and doubt, should I really be here? Am I doing the right thing?
Right.
Do I qualify? Is this job for me? X, Y, Z.
And the majority culture is served up like, I guess, not role models No. Yeah. Role models. People like them on silver platters. People are shown examples in the majority culture of themselves on silver platters at all times.
All the time.
If you're not part of the majority culture, you literally have to find it.
Yeah,
Because it's suppressed. It's being replaced with the majority culture.
And do you know the grief and the sadness that exists when like the representative or like the one person that you're like, cool, that I can identify myself with this person, does something shitty.
Yep.
And you're like, fuck, man. Like,
I thought you were cool.
yeah, it's, you can't just like on to the next, you know,
because the only one.
Right. So that really does, like I said, communicate something really deep seated. It's integrated in the culture. It's integrated in how we're socialized. So it takes a lot of effort to become aware of it, identify it, and challenge it.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. And we've said this before, and we had a whole episode about the community. I mean, community, looking for people like you. It's like I said before, like you have to seek people like yourself out because you are unique. You are a special person. You are not just like some random average Joe. Like you're definitely not. I'm looking at the two of us. We're definitely not.
Yeah. And I think that you mentioned something that's, I think, vitally important too, is that like you have to seek it out, meaning like you have to put in some effort into building community. I think I'm sure we talked about this during our community episode, but like just a friendly reminder, like you do have to make the time or put in the effort or invest. And sometimes those investments in time and energy doesn't pan out all the time. That doesn't mean you need to stop or that you should stop. But just know that like building community can be hard too and like take effort. But definitely worth it.
And if you're a parent, and if you find it like so hard, you feel like it's not worth it for yourself, do it for your kids. Your kids need it because you definitely don't want your kids to have no community safety net.
Yeah. Outlets. I mean, my sister and I have babies 2 years apart. And like, I don't know, I think we've just kind of agreed that we're that person for our kids. Like, because we all know that sometimes our kids need someone who is not their parent.
Yep.
I'm like, so I like committed to being that person for Sebas, and I'm pretty sure Claudia like committed to being that person for Amari. And that's part of community.
Yeah.
So you can ask that of your friends, of your family, of like people that are important to you. Just because not one person can meet all the needs of another.
Yeah.
Including parent-child.
Yeah. And it's unfair to expect that of yourself. And the whole world is not treating you fairly. You should treat yourself fairly. I mean, you should. Jeez. I had kind of some fun on the last episode when we did vibe checks.
Let's do it.
Are you interested in doing a few more?
I'm interested in doing some more vibe checks.
Okay. I just want to read this quick note about vibe checks before we do them, okay? But first, I want to do the vibe check stinger. And I don't know if you listened to the last episode, but there was a little stinger, and I'm just going to give it some time right now. And welcome to Vibe Checks. All right, really quickly. In the therapy world, we have something called case studies. And a case study is basically an in-depth look at a specific person's experience, like their history, their struggles, their progress in therapy. And on the show, here on Purple Friends, we do these vibe checks as sort of like a composite case study. That means that we take like common themes, cultural friction points, and like real life problems that we frequently see at vibe therapy services, like from our clients, and like blend them into stories that protects everyone's privacy while keeping like the emotional truth of the story intact. So like the stories that we read on this show, they don't reflect any one person's experience. And obviously like because of that, they don't contain anyone's private information. So we're going to use like people names. Like I'm going to use the person's name, Marco, in a second. There's no Marco.
Yeah.
Marco is not a real guy.
Yeah.
He's like
Doesn't
Jerry
exist.
the anxiety mailman. He's just...
They're not around in the area.
They're not around in the area of our show. Like
or in reality or in any realm.
Right, exactly. So with that being said, let's do vibe check number 1. So here's the scenario. Marco is a first-generation college graduate who just landed a great corporate job, and his parents are constantly bragging about him to the extended family and asking him to help his cousins find jobs. And Marco is secretly burnt out and hates the corporate environment, but he feels like he can't quit because he's like the family success story. So, what do you think? It's kind of like he is the role model, and he is burnt out.
And see how quickly that happened? He just landed that corporate job.
Yeah.
And already he is being told, help his cousins.
Yep.
Do this. Oh, look at you. Look at, and all the tias are probably calling him and being like, wow, Marcos, mire, like you're in big corporate jobs. And it's just like immediately he feels like he can't quit.
Yeah. And it's like, in addition to like having a new corporate job, it's like, wow, all of this extracurricular expectations.
Yeah. And like, man, even just thinking about having to help your cousins to do something is.
I know. Just like everyone, just think about your worst cousin for a second. Think about being forced to help them because of your job, because of your parents.
Yeah.
It's not
Because
cool.
of your parents.
It's
I mean,
not
honestly,
cool.
that's what it is. It's because of your parents.
Yeah. What should Marco do? I mean, like, this is rough. Like, burnout is real.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we had slightly talked about, oh my God, my freaking voice is going away. I mean, I think we had talked about earlier in the episode about micro boundaries and like this idea of like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You know, you don't have to say,
Yeah.
I'm quitting my job and I'm not helping any of my cousins. They can all figure it out themselves. Like that's one extreme.
You're right.
And the other extreme is like doing it all the time for everyone and never for yourself. You can have something in the middle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Letting off some steam so the whole thing doesn't blow up.
Yeah. So I think that like compartmentalizing, right? Thinking about like having some family office hours of like, I'm going to help my cousins just on Friday afternoons.
Or like, hey, I can't talk right now. I'll see you on Sunday. I'm going to be at Tia's house.
Right. Exactly.
Talk to me at
on
Tia's
your
house.
terms, right?
Yeah.
I think even that alone can be a big step for a lot of people, you know, is like taking that extra step.
Yeah. And that's really hard too, because like, not just because of like family expectations, but just like cultural expectations of like, nobody's allowed to be unplugged anymore. And like, it's just so hard to like try to establish like, hey, I really don't even want texts from you about this right now. Like I really just want to not talk about this until like until like this later time or whatever.
Right.
That's hard.
It really is. I mean, like, and that's hard for anyone, you know, and I often say, like, I think we've talked about this tip and trick of like creating space. Like, let me think about that. Let me
check with my wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me consult the calendar. I don't know. I think the same can be true for even these like familiar pressures, you know, and they're, I think, innocuous. I think a lot of the times, again, how we talk about it really shapes how people might respond to it. So being like, hey, I'm going to see you at the on, oh my God.
You can't say you're real.
I know,
Tia's
sorry. I'm going to see you at my aunt's on Sunday. Like, I'll just read your resume then or whatever, you know, like you might feel a little bit more empowered by that versus burdened by it.
Right. And versus like trying to answer a phone call and like an email and read a resume while you're like supposed to be doing your new corporate job.
Correct.
Marco, it's okay, buddy. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. And you can quit your job. A job is just a job.
A job is just a job, but he worked really hard. This is his first ever job.
No,
like this.
I know it's more complicated than that. I know a job is not just a job, but like.
But it is important to remember that a job is just a job.
Yes, exactly. Like, you know, it's still nuanced,
Yes.
but it's not worth your mental health.
Right.
Or your health. Let's do another vibe check.
Yeah. You want to read this one or should I?
You.
You want me to read them all?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I would love to be the vibe check reader.
Lovely.
Okay.
I would hate to be the vibe check reader. I already got so clammy just thinking about popcorn reading and bullshit like that.
Popcorn reading.
Reading was my second language. Reading in English is my second language.
Yeah.
So whenever that happened,
Nightmare.
Yeah. I hated it. And you better believe I was one of those kids that was like jumping ahead to like and
Practice.
counting like, okay, what paragraph is going to be my
Yep.
paragraph? And like very rarely would it actually like land on the on the paragraph I actually rehearsed. And I still ended up looking and sounding like I couldn't read. Anyway, please read the second one.
I would love to. If it makes you feel any better, maybe this is an autism thing, but I also did that during popcorn reading. Okay.
I thought you were gonna I thought you were gonna be like, if it sounds any better, you sound great reading our children's, like our child's childhood stories.
I mean, you do good voices. You should hear this woman read Skater Baby. I mean, she's great. That's a great book, by the way. Dang, that should have been My Little Grateful.
Yeah,
I love that book.
I love that book. Amari loves that book. It's such a cute book. I know it by heart.
Yep. Yo. Okay. So vibe check 2. Priya is a first-generation daughter who wants to spend New Year's Eve with her partner and friends, but her parents expect her to be home for a traditional family gathering. When she mentions her plans, her mom says something to the effect of, after everything we did to move here, you don't even want to spend one night with us?
Oh, it already feels so heavy.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah.
That's tough. I mean, that's kind of like crossing a boundary. That's using guilt to try to influence somebody. That's a form of manipulation.
Yeah, that's the whole enmeshment thing of like, we did this for you, now you do this for us.
Yeah, and of course, if you're in this situation, it's not as simple as saying, hey, mom, what you're doing is manipulation. Stop forever.
Yeah, so how do we move forward from this? I think that kind of similarly to what we mentioned earlier about being able to have space for both. And, we talked about this in the boundaries episode that like setting a boundary is going to disappoint someone.
Right.
So I think like in this situation, Priya has to be okay with disappointing her parents.
Yes.
That is just inevitable, right? If you're
Okay.
not going to be there, like they're going to be sad.
Absolutely. If I could throw back to the book that I read for that episode, Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Tawwab, by the way, fantastic book. That was her whole thing, was like at the beginning of the book was like, you need to understand, you need to get comfortable with disappointing people because that's what your boundary is going to do.
That's what it is.
If you want a boundary, you need to get comfortable with that.
And just know that it's temporary.
The discomfort will wane.
Subside. Yeah, that feeling, that person is not going to feel that way forever. It will subside. And remembering that, like, it's still worth it. It's still worth it to have boundaries, to value yourself and your needs enough to set the boundaries, right? And to take, again, empowerment or ownership over your own life and say, I want to create these new traditions, right? With my partner, with my friends, with my chosen family. And yeah, I mean, it will be up to Priya how, if and when she wants to balance that out with like, I'll celebrate with my family some other time or some sort of compromise or showing that, she loves and cares about them in this way. But that's up to her, and I think, again, that's like the beauty of all of this is like, you're the boss. You get to decide.
Yeah. So vibe check number 3. Jordan is the first in their family to work in a high-level tech space. In meetings, Jordan stays quiet because they feel like their, quote, background is showing. They worry that if they speak up and make a mistake, it will confirm that they don't belong there. So we're talking about somebody who maybe like when they speak, it's obviously they're not part of the majority culture here. If they open their mouth, whether it's the words that they use, whether it's any like their diction, their accent, whatever.
Tone, whatever.
Just this fear of like, if I speak up, it will affirm their belief that I don't belong here.
Yeah. I mean, talk about imposter syndrome.
Right.
Right. Which, again, like I think leads me to believe that there's not a whole lot of representation or other people who look like Jordan at this place.
Right.
Like still feeling that sense of self-doubt and I don't belong in this space can feel really heavy.
So what should Jordan do? I mean, part of this takes me a little bit back to popcorn reading. But like obviously a little less structured. But you can take some of the pressure off yourself of like, I need to contribute some massive, profound thing to every meeting or whatever. Maybe back that off to like, just like having your voice projecting out, saying asking a clarifying question about something, just so that you are there. Your voice is taking up space. You are taking up space because you do belong there.
Yeah. Baby steps, right? Yep. Like you have evidence to show that you belong there because you're there. And so I think with any new thing, it takes time before it starts to feel familiar. So yeah, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay for it, for it to feel awkward or weird. That just means that you're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. You're doing something right. and it's not going to be forever.
Yeah. And to take some of the pressure off of yourself of like you're putting yourself into uncomfortable situations, like the situation is asking uncomfortable things of you. Like it's not your fault. The situation, the discomfort of the situation is not your fault.
Yeah.
Either.
I mean, like, we're talking about systemic things,
Yeah.
Globally systemic things that we have no control over. And I think a lot of the times it can feel personal.
Yeah.
Like it's a me thing, or we get lost and like it's something I did or I'm at fault, versus like blaming the system,
Yeah.
which like is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of validating to get some of that guilt off your back of being like, that would have been, it's impossible. Those expectations of myself are impossible. The system is rigged against that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're working so much harder oftentimes. I mean, and especially now in like late stage capitalism, I think everyone's working a little harder. The system is a little extra heavy on everyone's backs, but yeah, absolutely more so for minority cultures, people of color, people with disabilities, like any marginalized communities, like have to have more in the tank because just more is required of them.
And to everyone in those communities, your existence is resistance.
I love that.
I don't know. I'm sure I didn't make that up.
I mean, I totally believe it, and I've said it in like more words than that, but I love that.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, that about wraps it up for us today.
Yeah, we really appreciate y'all being here and riding with us again today.
Yeah, thanks for your patience on the episode.
Thank you so much.
We're going to try to get another one up next week so that we can get back on schedule. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us once again. I'm Co.
And I'm Joe.
And this has been Purple Friends.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Purple Friends is an independent podcast produced by Vibe Therapy Services and is not a substitute for a session with a real therapist.
Our show art was created by me, Jocelyn Lang.
And our theme music is Nature Nurture by me, The Implied Bear.
Vibe Therapy is an Illinois-based private practice servicing clients in person at our Wheaton office and virtually throughout the state of Illinois.
We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, Aetna, and Cigna insurance. We also offer cash pay rates, financial assistance, and free 15-minute initial consultations where you can get a feel for our practice.
Think of it as a vibe check. Therapy doesn't have to feel clinical. Visit vibetherapyservices.com today to see if we vibe.